What if I told you one of WWE's greatest creative ideas was born from fear, hesitation, and a quiet belief backstage that fans might not care at all? Because when the Money in the Bank concept was first pitched, WWE had absolutely no confidence it would work, and every reason to believe it could fail spectacularly. Back then, WWE was stuck in a very rigid way of thinking. Champions were heavily protected, title shots were earned through clear, linear paths, and the main event scene was meticulously controlled to avoid anything feeling too chaotic. Money in the Bank threatened to blow a giant hole straight through that entire structure. The idea of giving a wrestler a guaranteed world title match that could be cashed in at any moment sounded dangerous, messy, and totally irresponsible to a company that craved order above all else. There was a real, legitimate concern that it would cheapen the championships, confuse casual fans, and turn serious, hard-earned title reigns into complete jokes. Internally, it wasn't seen as some revolutionary concept. It was viewed as a massive gamble, a one-off ladder match thrown onto WrestleMania almost as an experiment, with the quiet understanding that if the crowd didn't react, it would never ever be mentioned again. WWE wasn't sure if fans would even understand the rules, if they'd stay invested after the big show, or if a simple briefcase could hold any long-term value in a company obsessed with immediate, thunderous reactions. But then, the moment that first ladder match happened at WrestleMania 21, something clicked that WWE hadn't planned for. Fans didn't just enjoy the chaos, they understood it instantly. They saw the possibility, they saw the danger. They saw a future storyline unfolding in real time, right before their eyes. When Edge won that first Money in the Bank contract, it didn't feel like a mid-card prize. It felt like a loaded weapon. And 9 months later, when he cashed it in on a battered John Cena, everything changed forever. Suddenly, championships weren't safe anymore. Champions couldn't celebrate their biggest victories without nervously looking over their shoulder. Every single title match from that point on gained an extra layer of suspense because fans were no longer just watching the match in front of them. They were waiting for the surprise that could come after. WWE had accidentally created something incredibly rare in professional wrestling. Sustainable, long-term tension that followed viewers week after week, month after month. The briefcase wasn't just a prop. It was a promise that chaos was always just around the corner. Over the years, Money in the Bank evolved from a risky experiment into a powerful storytelling engine that refreshed itself every single year. It created stars overnight like CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. It exposed others who just couldn't handle the pressure. And it gave WWE a brilliant way to elevate talent without forcing those traditional, sometimes predictable, pushes. The contract became a perfect amplifier for a wrestler character cowardly heels like Edge used it to steal titles confident stars like Rob Van Dam used it to call their shot and plan their moment, and desperate wrestlers rushed their cash-ins and paid the ultimate price. Fans began fantasy booking constantly, debating the perfect time and place for the cash-in, staying glued to weekly TV because the next shocking moment could happen at any second. Remember when Seth Rollins cashed in during the main event of WrestleMania? Or when Dolph Ziggler cashed in on Alberto Del Rio to one of the loudest crowd reactions in modern history. These weren't just moments. They were seismic shifts in the landscape. When WWE eventually gave Money in the Bank its own pay-per-view, it was the clearest sign that the initial gamble had paid off beyond their wildest dreams. This was no longer just a side attraction, it was a foundational pillar of the entire product. Even the failed cash-ins added to the mythology, proving that a huge opportunity doesn't guarantee success and that the immense pressure can break people just as easily as it can make them. Think of Baron Corbin or Damien Sandow, their failures told stories too. Ultimately, Money in the Bank worked because it embraced uncertainty in a scripted world. It made outcomes feel unpredictable, and it constantly reminded fans that in WWE, anything could happen at any time. The company didn't know if fans would care, they didn't know if the concept would last, and they didn't know if it would hurt their carefully protected champions. But by taking that risk, they created one of the most powerful and enduring ideas in wrestling history. A simple briefcase that turned suspense into a year-long obsession and transformed the way WWE tells stories forever. Thanks for watching. If you love deep dives into wrestling history like this one, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. See you next time.